I'm here at the Inselpark Arena in Hamburg with Michael from The Halo Effect. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Today is your first show at the Heimat over Europe tour with The Black Dahlia Murder, Frozen Soul and Heaven Shall Burn. Do you still get nervous before a show?
I do a little bit. It depends. Sometimes you're not feeling your best, after like a long tour or something like that, or in the beginning, and it can be difficult. And sometimes it's gear and technical issues that can get you nervous. But today I feel very good. We've had a lot of preparation for this tour. Sound check was awesome, so yeah, it's all going to be good. I'm excited.
Sounds good. Let's talk about your latest release, We Are Shadows, which came out in November 2025.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to do a cover song EP, and how did you decide that these songs had to be on the album?
We got a drunken phone call from our label manager, basically an old friend of ours who is awesome, and he loves the band, and we love him, and he suggested and because we go way back, and we always talk about old albums, old records, bands that we love, being just music geeks and record collectors, and he said, wouldn't it be cool if you did kind of what Metallica did with the Garage Days Incorporated? And we were like, yeah, that would be kind of cool, but yeah, let's talk about it sometime else, But it just came up maybe we cover some of the songs that kind of influenced us and something that we listened to when we grew up, and not necessarily other metal bands, but something else. So the idea just kind of lingered there for a while, and then Niklas started putting some stuff together, and Jesper as well, and Peter and Daniel, and we were like, yeah, maybe we can do it. And so it was kind of fun to, I think what Metallica did with the Garage Days was they introduced a lot of people to bands that they grew up with that you didn't know, like Diamond Head and Budgie and stuff like that, that at least when I heard it, I had no idea what those bands were, and I discovered Misfits through them. And I thought that was really cool. So that was the kind of intention. So we do like a Broder Daniel song, for instance. They are huge in Sweden, but nowhere else. We do a Kent song, which is also one of the biggest bands of all time in Sweden, but nowhere else. So it was kind of fun to kind of introduce, and it's also bands that we kind of grew up with listening to, and in Broder Daniel as well, kind of grew up with. So it was fun to do something like that, and just kind of more obscure songs that kind of spoke to us,
Okay. Is there a personal favorite song that you would have liked to include on the album?
I mean, there are tons of stuff, that we talk, because we put together a list of songs that we thought were kind of appropriate to cover. And that was a long list, and then we kind of, eliminated one song, that won't work, and then the next one, and the next one, and then we came up with these songs. So, of course, there were a lot of possibilities, a lot of suggestions, fun stuff that would be cool, but at the same time, maybe not something that we could pull off,
Okay.
It has to be something that fits within our kind of universe of music,
Will we hear a song from We Are Shadows live today?
No. We haven't played any of those songs together yet. It would be fun, but I don't know. Maybe in Sweden we do we can do a Kent song or something like that. But no, we haven't.
Okay. You released a new song today.
Yeah.
Lest We Fall, featuring Heaven Shall Burn and The Black Dahlia Murder.
Yes.
A brilliant song, by the way.
Cool, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about how this collaboration came about, especially since the three of you are now touring together.
Well, that was the idea. I mean, we planned this tour, or Heaven Shall Burn planned this tour a long time ago, and they asked us to join them. And we were like, hey, it would be cool to do one of those kind of collaborations, because we were in the studio anyway, and we were writing, and we were working on the third album. And we had this one song that we felt maybe it doesn't really fit on the album in the way that we think it's going to be so far. So maybe we talk to them and see if they want to collaborate on the song to kind of boost the tour and do something special for this tour, because it feels pretty cool and it's going to be great. I mean, it's a fantastic package, and so I just wrote the lyrics and kind of the vocal stuff, thinking about Brian and Marcus to kind of put their stuff into it. So it was really fun, and it came out great. And I mean, they kicked ass, and it was one of those lucky kind of coincidences where we were in the studio working on something, and we had this song that we were kind of yeah, this actually would be perfect. And and then everybody chipped in, and it was really cool. So I'm really happy, and we haven't played it properly yet, but maybe down the line on this tour we will do it together. It would be super fun, but we just met today, so...
The tour with Heaven Shall Burn runs until March 21st.
Yeah.
From March 27, you'll be touring the USA and Canada with Dark Tranquillity.
Yes.
And in May with Cemetery Skyline. How do you manage all that, and how doesn't your voice need a longer break sometimes to recover?
I managed it because I work with fantastic people who take care of all the logistics, so to speak. You know, the traveling and all that stuff. So that part is easy. Of course, it sucks to do back-to-back tours like that. But at the same time, like, I know the rest of the year is going to be focused on writing the Halo Effect album, starting with the Dark Tranquillity album, and also new Cemetery Skyline album. So we decided to kind of tour early and intense now, so that we can have more time to just focus on writing and producing. So yeah, it's going to be rough, but you know, vocal-wise, I'm fine. It doesn't really affect me much. I can play a lot. I've practiced enough, so it's fine.
Okay. Let's talk about vinyl.
Yes, please.
My YouTube channel is all about vinyl. I know you're also a huge vinyl fan and collector.
Yes.
What was the first album you ever bought?
It started with singles, you know, and this was when I was maybe 8 or 9 or 10. I bought like singles from pop bands. Like, my first favorite bands were Eurythmics, Depeche Mode.
Oh, mine too.
Yeah, so that's how it started for me. So I bought kind of singles, and I bought other kind of pop bands like Howard Jones and Talk and modern Talking, even horrible, but still fun. So I think that's how it started, like singles. But then my first metal album, I asked my parents to buy it for me, and I got the cassette of Power Slave.
Oh, cool.
And that was cool, but I had a record player, so I didn't want, when it was cool, I could listen in my, you know, portable cassette player at the time, but I wanted the vinyl, so I went out and bought Power Slave. So that was my first kind of proper metal album that I owned. Then I started buying. I mean, at the time, like, I was poor, and an album was 6 or 7 euros. You know, you had to save up for that. So I bought maybe 2 albums a month or 3, and but it was fun. Like, I was also, like, my dad works in a bank, and they had this kind of vinyl club where you could you have this huge list of everything basically, and you can just put in, like, you can borrow them, basically like a library, but you get them to take them home and listen to music. So I discovered so much music just through that when I was a kid. Just, you know, I want to hear what that is like. I want to hear Jethro Tull. I want to hear what Rush sounds like. I want to hear what this. So you can, instead of like going to a record store and listening, you know, standing there on the store, or trying to find it on radio, you know, that I could just have all these records at home, and I discovered so much music through that. But it's, I mean, in the beginning it was just out of necessity. It was not really collecting. You buy records because how else are you going to listen to them, right? This was, in the mid 80s, late 80s. So, and of course, like, we were very close knit of friends, like the original, like Dark Tranquillity lineup. So we went to the record stores and we bought 1 album each, and then we went home and we copied it on cassettes from each other, so that we always had the same records, even though one guy owned them and the 4 other guys had the copy, that kind of things. And then I got into tape trading. So there was a lot of cassettes, like from new albums and demos and that kind of stuff. But vinyl, and then I got really into prog in the early '90s, I think, like prog rock, and that was fun because that was kind of cheap to buy used, like to buy secondhand records. Yeah, you can always find like Yes albums and Genesis stuff, kind of cheap. So I could really build my collection back then, and that was fantastic. So so that's how it started for me. Like,
okay.
And I still have most of it. I haven't sold any records, basically. I've lost a few, you know, when moving, and some theft, you know, from basements and attics and shit throughout the years. But most of it I have. But I started starting up my collection again, maybe 10 years ago, something like that, 9 years ago, and now. I don't have any space in my house anymore.
Okay, which record in your collection has the most emotional value for you, and why?
I think because all the stuff that I have kind of at home now is like in the last 10 years or so, but there are some that just that you always put on, like, or that I found it, or that it came out, or that I found it. And I think one of my favorites is they have the original Headless Cross by Black Sabbath. Like, I bought it when it came out, the poster and everything like that, and that's one of my treasures, because it's my favorite Black Sabbath album, even though, of course, it's not the best, but it's my favorite.
Okay.
And then it came out again, like remastered, just years ago, because it was impossible to find like a new version. The old one sounds really crappy, it's very thin and kind of like thin sounding. The new one sounds awesome. So, but I think that's the album that has kind of stuck with me for the longest. And I just love it, and it's something that I've had on my wall for many years of my life, and the poster has been on my wall. So that's one is special to me.
Okay. Is there a record you've been looking for a long time but can't find? Maybe the Black Sabbath album?
That was hard, of course. But I had it already. But sometimes I bought it for some friends for gifts and stuff, and then it gets real expensive.
Okay.
There are some. I mean, I'm not a collector in that sense. I don't collect like first editions or anything like that. Or that's. I mean, I don't have that kind of time, or space, or money. But it's. The albums that I hate that I don't own is some Swedish old prog albums, specifically Änglagård, which is one of my favorite bands. Their 2 first albums are incredibly expensive, and just ridiculously hard to find. I used to have them on CD, but so I use Discogs all the time, of course.
Yeah, me too.
So I have them kind of wish list. So I know sometimes they pull up and it's like, nah, I can't spend that much money on albums. Like it just, you have to have rules, right? If you're a collector, like, and my rules are, I don't want to buy too much used records, because I like to support kind of new bands. So I buy mostly new, and mostly from small labels and smaller bands who need kind of like people to buy their records. And also, I like to have records that are kind of unique, or small quantities. If it's 200 copies, 300 copies, that's perfect for me.
Okay.
And bands who are off the beat, off center, or difficult, or weird, or strange. And that's the kind of music that I like, and I love to support that kind of music. That normally. So I don't go to the big record stores. I go to the weird ones. And. So that's why I don't buy like first editions of stuff, and because then you're just supporting the guy who sold it, which is fine, but I don't, I can't. So, but it's I love looking for it, and I spend a lot of time in record stores when I travel, and I absolutely love it. And there are some, like, I love the band Motorcycle from Norway, for instance, and there are like 3 or 4 albums that I don't own, but they also have 40 albums at least. So that's going to be rough, but so I'm always on the lookout. I have a list, of course.
If you had to live on a desert island forever and could only take 3 albums with you, which one would you choose?
I mean, it's classic, and I think I decided on this many years ago, but one of my all-time favorite albums is Close to the Edge by Yes, and I can listen to that forever. So that would be the one. Grace by Jeff Buckley, always, I can always listen to that forever. And then the third one kind of is, it kind of depends, but I think, something like probably Burn the Sun by Ark, Norwegian Ark. Since it came out, I've listened to it like, a couple of times a week almost, so that would work too. And it just came out on vinyl recently for the first time, and I fucking love it. I listen to it even more now than back in the day, so those are probably the 3.
Okay, cool. Okay, finally a quick round of questions. I'll give you 2 options, and you have to decide which you like more.
Oh, okay.
Vinyl or CD?
Vinyl.
Meat or beer?
Beer.
Beer. Festival or small venue?
Festival.
Guitar solo or drum solo?
Guitar solo.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Oh fuck, that's hard. I love both. I really, really, really love both. I've seen everything of all Star Trek, all Star Wars. So I have to go to Star Trek because of the quantity.
Okay.
Because overall it's better.
Batman or Spider-Man?
Batman. No, fuck no. Spider-Man.
Okay. Ice hockey or soccer?
Neither, but probably soccer. But I don't watch anything.
Okay.
Sports related.
Important question, Kiss or AC/DC?
I'm not a fan of either, but it would be Kiss, of course, because they had a huge impact when I was a kid.
That was the right answer. Okay, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure to meet you.
You too.
And I wish you all the best for the rest of the tour and
Thank you.
today.
Fuck yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.